here I am staying in a little bitty cabin in the middle of the woods, and all I got's a pistol.
Eins sagte mal jemand, auch unsere moderne Zeit steckt voller Mysterien. Wenn wir einen Fall lösen wollen, führt das uns zu Verdächtigen, zu den möglichen Abdrücken, die diese hinterlassen haben, zu den möglichen Plänen von den Tatorten oder auch zu zwielichtigen Gestalten oder exotischen Orten bis hin zu Forensik, die die Spuren aufnehmen. Aber eines haben alle gemeinsam. Es bildet sich der rote Faden des Verbrechens. Hello everyone, welcome to the Red Thread of Crime, or in German, der rote Faden des Verbrechens. And the last episode was about a person who goes with the name Scott Payne, who went undercover to discover the base. And today I have the possibility to have an interview with him. And hello, Scott.
Hey, how you doing, man? Thanks for having me on.
Yes, and I would say you introduce yourself. No.
Sure. So I'm Scott Payne. I'm the author of the book Codename Pale Horse. I did 28 years in law enforcement in the United States. I was what we consider a local cop first at a sheriff's office. So I was uniform patrol for about 3 years, and then 2 years of that I was a vice and narcotics investigator, working drugs and things like that. And then I got hired by the FBI, and I did 23 years in the FBI and retired June of 2021.
Okay. And one question I have in the beginning, how do you feel today after 28 years of service? How is it for you now to live your life?
It's not easy. It's a different it's a transition for sure, because I was a workaholic. I mean, I went everywhere and did all kinds of stuff. But since the book came out in March, for the last 7 months, I've been traveling nonstop. So I'm kind of tired. Yeah, I'm kind of tired. But it's a transition. But I still instruct. I still go out and teach law enforcement or speak for law enforcement or whatever. I'm an instructor with a very big, it's a very big organization in the United States called Alert, and it's the national standard for training law enforcement in active shooter response. And they've got all kinds of classes like first responder, medical, and solo officer response, and all kinds of things like that. So that allows me to still rub elbows and go out and be with law enforcement, even though I'm not bonded anymore and I'm not going around enforcing the law. But it's different. It's different for sure.
Yeah, so you really like this life still, even after you retired.
Yeah. But look at it though. As you get older, how many more groups can I infiltrate undercover? I mean, if you do 2 years in the Outlaws, at the end of that case, you will never work the Outlaws again. You're not even going to work any biker club that are friends with the Outlaws. So that part's done. And even though I did a decent amount of the white supremacy and extremist movements, at a certain point, everybody's going to know who you are. So, I guess there's a shelf life there. So as you get older, your targets, a lot of them are young, so how are you going to be 50 something years old and infiltrating a group of 20-year-olds? It's going to be a little tough. So yeah, it was probably time for me. At least I felt like it was to retire. So.
Okay. So I would say we go back a few years, and my first question is, how did you first end up working undercover? What is the story behind it?
Well, I cover it pretty thoroughly in the book, but and I know right now we're at the point now, but the book came out in March, so right now Simon & Schuster is hitting publishers in the UK, Germany, Australia to try to pick up the book. So hopefully it'll be available over there if you guys can't get it on audio. But when I was in college, I took some elective courses, and they were criminal justice, and I really liked them. And when I was a bouncer, I got to know cops. And once I became a cop, and then I finally made vice and narcotics investigator in South Carolina, you could go to a 1 week school at the academy, at the police academy, and it was called undercover techniques. So you go for that week and you can get certified and you can start doing stuff. And even just street level, like you're not going really deep undercover. You're going to go out there and make a couple of buys, 2, 3, 4, whatever your prosecutors want, and you make those drug buys, and then you hit them and take them down or hit it with a search warrant. But man, once I did it, I was always fascinated with it anyway. Like I can't really remember, but I just know if I saw a movie about an undercover, or it could be a terrible movie, it could be a great movie or a terrible. I liked them all. And then I started at the sheriff's office I was at. I had some mentors that were they had done some undercover work, and man, I was like, I idolized them. I was like, man, that is really cool. So once I did it and I got the bug, that was it. But if you look back at my history on this planet, you can see through high school and all these years in college that the skill set was kind of there. Like my mentality, and being able to just connect with people, not to pretend to be them, but just to connect with people. Like in any group, like I could walk in high school, I could go into the smoking area. A jock. I was a jock. Musicians. I was a musician and a singer. I could hang out with the band. Potheads. I could hang out with it. I mean, whatever it was in the 80s, I could just go and connect with people. And I guess I used that later on in my life.
So it is like for you, like a chameleon.
Kinda.
So
I mean,
to fit the group, yes.
kinda. But I'm still me. I don't go in other words, like if I was going to go into, let's just say, the mafia in New York City, I don't sound like I'm from New York City. I don't sound like I'm an Italian mafia guy. I don't look like so I'm not going to pretend I am. I'm going to be me. And then I'll twist it to like, maybe I'm working a different job that allows me access, or maybe I'm a criminal or something like that. But essentially I stick pretty close to who I am.
Do you remember the moment you realized you'd be living under a false identity for it the first time?
Yeah. Well, at the sheriff's office, again, you didn't get like you didn't get like a big backstopping or this legend to go deep undercover. You get a driver's license at the sheriff's office, and then the rest was kind of up to me, at least in the mid 90s when I was doing that. So you get that, but am I really like going deep undercover? No. When I got to the FBI, that's where I've got an alias, I've got identification, and I've got all this stuff, and I'm going deep undercover, like full time, living as somebody else, working a different job. Yeah, that was around 2001 was when I like that first 1 year deep undercover, living full time, working another job. Yeah, that was probably around 2001. Even though I'd done a bunch of stuff before that, it's just nothing lasted that long, and nothing was like I'm working another job. Like I'm an FBI agent, but I'm going to work somewhere else because I'm undercover working that job. So not only am I doing the FBI thing, I'm doing another job too,
Yeah, of course. What would you say was your greatest strength as an undercover agent and your biggest vulnerability?
Well, I'd probably go with connecting with people would be my biggest, the things that work well for me. I tell people this all the time. There are men and women out there working undercover that have done way more than me. They have done more harrowing things than me, but you have to know who you are and what you're good at. So I kind of say it jokingly, but I didn't get called for Wall Street. I didn't get called for the high dollar white collar crimes. I was always on motorcycles or in the woods with a bunch of crazy people. But I was able to connect with them and use my skill set. So I think for me, that's probably it. I mean, you get wiser as you get older. I've made plenty of mistakes. So you try to get better and smarter and not make those mistakes or learn from them. Vulnerability. Well, I mean, I did break my own rule one time, and that's never underestimate. I remember being on a case, and I'm looking at the guy, and I'm thinking, it, it, I broke my own rule. I underestimated him a little bit because he was a backwoods country guy, and it got me in a bind because I let my guard down, and he was very smart, very street savvy, and I ended up in a predicament. And as soon as it happened, I remember thinking, man, I can't believe I let my guard down and let this dude put me, because it's a game of chess. Like you're trying to stay 5 moves ahead of them. You're always, you want to be prepared for everything because you never know what's going to be thrown at you. So um, maybe a vulnerability is just being human, because it's like
Yes.
you're in there undercover, and not all of them, but especially the quick ones. You may not bond with anybody, but man, there's been cases where I'm a year and a half, 2 years undercover, and I mean, I'm human. Some people I can see, good in people, even if they're not overall good. Because a lot of times it could have been me. I look at them and I go, man, that could have been me. I was I was headed down that path, and then I turned, in life. But yeah, I try not to I don't even do it in the book. To dehumanize, because that's still somebody's son, daughter. It's the same thing as in tactical response. If you come down the hallway and somebody, I mean, Lord forbid, somebody's, doing an active shooter event or actively killing people, and you go down there and you stop the threat, you stop the killing. Well, now we got to move to stopping the dying. And that may mean the person you just shot is the person you got to work on, but you still do it because, yeah, they were doing something bad. We stopped that. Now we got to stop the dying because it's still somebody's son, daughter, husband, wife, partner, whatever, dad. So
I mean, in the end, we are all humans.
try. And I mean, it's easier to sit here and say it now than to be out there on the street every day getting yelled at, spit at, and then your mind starts turning because you're like, man, it can kind of make you really jaded. But I'm at a place now where I try not to even do that.
Mhm. And now we come to the time in the FBI. How does the FBI select agents for undercover assignments? What
Well,
makes someone really suitable or unsuitable for it? Yeah.
okay. So suitable and unsuitable is kind of what I was saying earlier, and then I went off on a tangent. Um, you don't have to be me. I mean, there's plenty of cases. I mean, the FBI works all kinds of criminal violations and national security violations, and I might be right for the case. I might not. You might be right for the case. You might not. So I will say this: the main years that I was undercover and working in the program at the FBI, that was the most diverse group of people I've ever been a part of, because we had it all. We had African American, we had the gang banging looking dudes, we had biker looking dudes, we had females, we had Hispanics, we had you name it, like accountants. You got clean cut guy next to ugly tattooed guy like me. It was very diverse, and that was pretty cool. But that just shows you that you kind of work what your skill set's good for. Now, the process of becoming an undercover in the FBI, you might be recruited, but it would be more like if I saw you and I'd say, "Hey, Kalina, are you interested in this?" And let me sit down and talk to you. I'm the undercover coordinator or whatever, or maybe I'm just an undercover, but I'm like looking and going, you got a skill set. Have you ever thought about doing this? And then we talk. So, like, is it a full-fledged recruitment? Maybe not. But as far as the process, um, you have to go through several levels just to get a slot in the FBI undercover school. So you're going to sit down with somebody like a seasoned undercover, that undercover coordinator. Just like I was just telling you, we're going to go through stuff. I'm going to find out, what do you think undercover is? Are you married? Do you have children? How are they when you don't make it home at 5 o'clock every night? Things like that, to kind of paint the picture of it's not all cakes and pies. It's going to be some tough roads ahead. Um, and then you keep going and you get tested, and then you do these other things. And let's just say let's just say hundreds of people apply to the school. Well, they dwindle it down to 20 because you get 4 groups of 5. Now they may have 20 as an extra backup. So in case somebody in that first 20 falls through right before the school starts, you got some fill-ins you can throw in there. But all those hundreds get dwindled down to that 40, and then the 120 is back up, and then the other 20 go through the class. And I will tell you that it's a 2-week school with no days off. Very big on sleep deprivation. Basically, you get training during the day, and then all through the evening, you're role playing. You are going through scenarios with seasoned undercovers and trying to accomplish. I mean, there's a training objective for every scenario and stuff, but you're going to be a primary undercover probably twice a night, every night, and just get those reps in. So some things that I've never seen a 100% graduation rate. I've never known a one the years prior to me getting certified or the years after. And it's not because of hazing. It's not because it's like, oh man, it's like you washed out kind of thing because of physical stuff. It's just, you could be the best case agent, the best investigator in the world, but you might not be cut out for undercover work. And the good thing, one of the many good things about the FBI's undercover program is, knock on wood, we've never lost a certified undercover. And I think that, I mean, I personally believe, because I was a part of that school and training for so many years, that's a huge effect of that, because we are strenuous in the training and making sure that we cover as much as we can in that 2-week period. I mean, essentially, you could have a 2-month school. You know, you could do it like you're more national security overseas stuff, and it could be months and months of training. But at the end of the day, the FBI is a law enforcement agency, and undercover is a collateral duty. Just like being a firearms instructor, SWAT, tactical instructor, defensive, those are all collateral duties. The only thing you're required to be is a case agent when you come in the FBI.
Mm-hmm. So if it wouldn't have been undercover, what else would you have chosen? I mean, what would be another option?
I did more than undercover. It would have been tactical. I mean, don't get me wrong, case agent first. I love building cases. I love going out and stopping bad things from happening. I love interviewing people and flipping them or connecting with them. Getting confessions, whatever it may be. I love that. But collateral duty wise, it would have been the tactics. So I was a SWAT guy. I was special weapons and tactics, firearms instructor, the lead tactical instructor, which for the FBI, tactical is going to be your room clears, close quarter battle, car stops, will to survive, hallway clears, stairwell clears, all that stuff. And then undercover, but I did them both, which to my demise at some points, which I cover in the book. I mean, there was a period of my life where I burnt the candle at both ends, and I finally ran out of wax. I crashed. I had to take a break. You know, they made me take a break, and I'm like, all right, good, thank you. I need that. So.
And what I mentioned in the episode about your time in the base is about building a legend. And how would you say you build up a believable legend?
Well, it's a case-by-case basis, but for the base, in particular, that investigation, what I did is I pulled on things that had really happened that you couldn't really go back and check, which is tougher and tougher these days with social media and the internet and everything. But I told them that I was an old biker, which I am. Shocker, you know. I got tattoos, I lift weights, and I ride motorcycles. Well, okay. But I said I was an old biker, former skinhead, because I didn't know that there was a skinhead group in South Carolina. And I knew one of the guys very well. And I called him and I said, hey, can you walk me through this? Because we were both bikers. I'm like, I just want to know if there's anything I could get tripped up on. So I did it myself. I called and learned, hey, man, what happened to the group? Well, after 2 years, it just kind of went defunct. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Any reason? Nah. So you get that, and now I can come in and say, look, I'm a former skinhead. I've been in the movement for a long time. I used to be Christian identity, but now I'm more pagan kind of thing, and then go there. And then a lot of times I let them teach me. I'm like, hey, what is it, you guys? Is it true you do this or no? No, let them teach you.
So it's about
Guys, we got egos, man. We got egos, And, dude, you want me to talk about myself? Yeah, a lot of those people love to talk about themselves.
I guess it's also linking your past to your story, which you don't need then to lie, as I understood that. For example, when you were former skinhead, you don't need to lie about that because it
Right.
happened. So it's more convincing when you tell the story.
Yeah, it has to look real. It has to look, feel, taste, smell real. It's got to pass all five senses, right?
Yeah.
Because the one thing you don't want is, and I took this line from a good buddy of mine. He said, man, here's what you want. At the end of the night, you want the bad guy going to bed and going, that was a good day. You don't want him laying in bed going, something about that guy that came in today, man. I don't know. There's something's not right. So you want it to be as real as possible. And you need to be able to talk about it as if it happened for real. So.
And now we think about what, in general, the public thinks about undercover, because in the movies, in the TV shows, it's different. And what do you think is the biggest misconception the public have about undercover agents or the undercover operations in general?
Well, TV's gotten better, I think, and again, case by case basis, or TV show or movie by movie basis. But if you get good consultants and the writers are willing to listen, there's some stuff out there. Man, when that show The Wire was out, back on the HBO day, man, that when we were doing payphones and chasing, trying to do wiretap, that was a very accurate TV show. So you can get that. I would say biggest misconception is it's all cakes and pies, all fun. I remember flying. I'd go from McAllen, I'd go from the bottom of Texas in the United States, fly pretty much across the United States to Boston. And after, if you book your rental car and your hotel and everything through that airline, you get bumped up. So literally, like my second trip, I was already getting bumped to first class. And I'm flying first class, and they're bringing you drinks and stuff. And like that first week or two, I was like, man, this is cool. Here I am flying. But after about a month or two in the case, I'm like, I don't want nothing to drink. I'm like, I'm tired. I know when I get there, I'm going to be hanging out to probably 5, 6, 7 in the morning with bikers. I'm not going to get my workouts. It's not, I loved it. I enjoyed it. But there's definitely times where I really wouldn't want to do that over again.
Yeah, I can imagine that. And during, for example, your time in the base, you also need to have communication with your colleagues from the FBI. Of course, it depends what you can, of course, say. What does the communication with the FBI look like? Because you can't just call them. You just, it's
I'm
something
not.
that.
So some people, so you got to be careful with tradecraft, right? Because people are like, oh, that's tradecraft. You're giving away tradecraft. You're going to have, number one, in the FBI, if I was out, I was covered. That's the way we do it. And generally, I would say you should have a response team of a minimum of 4 people if something goes bad. Now, saying that, I'll also tell you from the undercover side, and me being a tactical guy, there could be 2 SWAT teams on the other side of this door I'm staring at right now. If you pull out a gun and start shooting, it's up to me and you, because that team's not going to get through there quick enough. So, but you should be covered. So if I'm out till 5 in the morning, I'm probably going to go either the next day, at some point, I'm going to be meeting that case team, that cover team. I'm going to hand in my recordings because that's evidence in the chain of evidence. And I'm going to start doing my reports and stuff. And so I'm covered, and you should be. But I will say, like when I was 24/7 working undercover full time, we have what we call a contact agent. And that would just be somebody that would just come out there. They might be giving me my money for the week. They might just listen to me bitch for an hour, but it's really for my well-being because I'm the one, like, I'm like completely disconnected from the FBI and the office. So maybe they're just giving me the gossip that's going on or something, just to kind of make you feel kind of included and not forget who you are and what you're doing, kind of thing.
And how do you manage the psychological tension of playing a criminal role while staying a federal agent? Because
I didn't
because
do
I
too
can
good
guess
in the beginning. Yeah, yeah. In the beginning, not too good. I didn't do great at it, but like I said, for me, I kind of just stayed who I was. Like I may or may not. I'm still Scott. Scott's a common name. I'm going to be Scott. Different last name, of course, but like, if let me think. I may or may not be married. I may or may not have kids. I may or may not be a musician or a singer. I may or may not have played college football and got a degree, but you can pretty much bet that I ride motorcycles and lift weights. And then we can go from there. Like if I'm trying to connect with you, I'm going to ingratiate. I'm going to hang out. I'm going to do what I do in every town I go to. Next week, I'm probably going to fly somewhere. I'm going to get to the hotel and then I'm going to leave my stuff in my room and I'm going to go down and find the bar. And then I'm going to sit. And if all I end up talking to is the bartender, maybe that's it. But I may end up meeting a whole bunch of people at the bar and just doing me. But when I did murder for hires, like if somebody was hiring me to kill somebody or somebody was wanting me to provide them with the bomb or the gun and things like that, I never, I didn't really try to build rapport because I'm a stone cold killer. Why would I'm not, you know what I mean? If you're hiring me to kill somebody, it's not a conversation. We're hanging out and becoming best buddies over. But for the most part, I stuck to who I was. I would always, I wear a cross on my necklace, and what I would do, which maybe in my mind, it was when I flipped the switch in my mind, but I would take the cross off and I'd put a skull or something on, and then I was Scott whoever until I came back. When I got home, I'd take the skull off and put my cross back on. I don't know if that's like my Clark Kent going into a telephone booth and turning into Superman thing. I don't know. I don't know if that's Batman hitting the button and going in and changing his clothes. I don't know, but that's kind of what I did to kind of make my mind go, all right, I'm back.
Did you ever feel your undercover identity bleeding in your real one?
Yeah.
Especially, I guess, short after it ended, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, you have to go through, I mean, me personally, I'm speaking for me. Some of those cases, not all of them, but some of them I had to go through a little decompression. I'm like, man, that was a weird 7 months kind of thing. I'm like, all right, I'm going to take a couple of days off. I'm going to rest. I'm going to get my bearings back, you know? But again, like I told you, a lot of it is me, but I would say more so in the early days, other people around me could see me letting it bleed in. I didn't see it, but other people did. Like I was more violent, you know, I was more quick to like snap because I'm in a very violent biker gang and I mean, you're riding around ready to fight at any given moment, or worse. So yeah, I might be, when I get home, I might be a little quicker to snap at somebody. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'm like, whoa, what was that? I gotta calm down. I got more control than that. You can't be doing that kind of thing. You know, they're like, I'll smash them. I'll smash them right. You know, like easy. We're not in the biker club, you know? And I took an oath. And then in the United States, we have a constitution. So I took an oath to uphold the entire constitution. So, there's that. You got a pretty good rule book of what you can and can't do. So,
Yeah. But is it then, I mean, when something which happens, for example, and during your undercover time and it's also bleeding in your real life, does it take then long to get to, let's say, the Scott Payne, which before the undercover operation?
I don't think so. I mean, like I'm trying to think if I really ever really lost myself, and I don't think I ever have. But being human, I might be looking at you after a year and a half with you, going, "Man, you know what? We got a lot in common. You're really not that bad of a guy, you know. You like to do this, I like to do it. You like to do something else, I like to do it. But at the end of the day, you're breaking the law in the United States. I'm gathering evidence of you breaking the law. You made a choice as an adult to break the law, and we get now you caught. And sometimes that bothers you. I'm not going to say like you're going to be like, oh, hey, listen, I'm an undercover FBI agent. You don't need to be doing this stuff. I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I mean, I'm human at the end of the day. So sometimes those connections, they're real. At least for me, they were real, and it can be tough. It can be tough. But as far as like losing myself and like how long it takes to get back to Scott, I don't think that's really happened too much with me, but it does kind of parlay into if you are uniform. Back to what I was saying earlier, because a lot of people that aren't cops, they just don't get it, and that's fine. So we need to educate people. It's very rare, at least here in the States, when I was in uniform patrol, it's very rare that you show up and everybody's happy you're there. You know, like you show up and you pretty much show up when people are at their worst, like the fighting in the home, they've committed a crime, whatever, somebody's been shot. So they're not usually happy to see you. And then that, as I said earlier, that can make you jaded. So there's all kinds of trainings and techniques you can use to, I'm trying to tie this back to you're like, hey, it bled over into your real life. How long did it take you to get back to you? I'm trying to tell you the job will do that to you. Just being an overt law enforcement officer, sometimes you got to really say, hey man, when I get home, I'm going to say, look, here's all the junk from work, and I'm going to sit it right here in this coffee cup in my car, and it's staying here. I'm not bringing it in this house with me. I'm not gonna let it bleed over to my family. And then when I come back out to this squad car or my police car to go to work, I'm gonna pick that cup back up, and now we got it again. But it's just you. I think it ebbs and flows, and I think I mean, we got to take care of each other. In the United States, I don't know how it is everywhere you're at, but in the United States, first responders, which is law enforcement, and uh, medic and fire, and then we throw in military. We're number one in suicide, number one in divorce, number one in substance abuse, and usually we're very high in dying within 5 years after retiring, because it's such a pressure cooker. When you finally retire, your body's done. So it's a calling for sure. I mean, who signs up for that? That's not a great pitch, right? Hey, if you come here and work with us, chances are you're probably going to get divorced, become you're going to abuse substances. You're either going to die within 5 years after retiring, or you're going to take your own life. You know, that's not a good pitch for a
Yeah, also
job.
the traumatic events that you see, it's
Oh, they
different
like
than for the normal public.
yeah. So I'm not desensitized right now. I'm more sensitive because I haven't been on the beat. But when I was on the beat, when you're in uniform, man, the stuff you see on a daily basis. I mean, it's 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 that proverbial. You see the coroner showing up, and there's body blown to pieces, and he's sitting there eating spaghetti, you know, and there's brain stuff on the wall, not even bothering him. You know, that's because they're so used to seeing it. Now, I used to be used to seeing it, but if I saw it right now, I don't know. Maybe I'd be like, I'd be like, I don't feel so good. I'll be back in just a minute. That's that's pretty nasty, but yeah, it's and it can take a toll on you.
I remember it's been now 2 years ago where I spent 1 week at the police and just to test the method that I developed. And what I noticed is they have a special kind of humor
Yeah,
because I remember entered this room where a lot of guns were there, and
yeah.
the boss from the police just handed me over this golden desert eagle, just put it in my hands, and then saying, "Oh, somebody shoot his head off with this." I was like, "Oh," and
Yeah.
he's like this, and I was thinking, okay, that's a bit weird. How humor,
It's
yeah.
it's an acquired taste. We do tend to have a little dark humor.
Yeah.
which it worked out great on the book because my co-writer, she was a journalist that did a bunch of international terrorism type stuff. So she's seen a lot of stuff and been out and some bad places in the desert and this, that, and the other. So her sense of humor and mine were the same. We just, yeah. And if it wasn't, I'll tell you, humor for me personally, if I didn't have a sense of humor, I probably wouldn't be able to do the undercovers that I did. I had to find, because some of us, I'm just like, this is crazy. I just kind of laugh because it seems like it's fiction, but it's not. It's real.
Yeah, and I would say we now go to your time specific as an undercover in the extremist groups. For
Sure.
example, the base and also the KKK. I saw it that you were also
Yeah.
at the KKK.
Yeah.
And because at the documentary I saw, they didn't go into deep about your time at the KKK, more into the base.
Yeah.
So you weren't there a long time at as
Not the
undercover agent.
KKK. Yeah. So I did several, well, more than several. I did numerous extremist cases. Just some of them don't pan out because, again, in the United States, we have the First Amendment, and that's freedom of speech. So here, you can walk out in the street and say, "I hate all insert racial slur. I hope
Mhm.
all insert racial slur die." That's not illegal. Um, but so there was a lot that I did. The Klan, we put that in the book because it was kind of funny because I played music for them, and there were some funny things that I learned about when I was there. But that case kind of went by the wayside. As far as I know, nobody got arrested. But I used what I learned there to help me in other places. You know, like even when I was applying to be in the base, they were openly recruiting, and I went in, and once I got on a phone call with them, I was like, "Yeah, man, I've been to some Klan rallies and stuff. It was just a bunch of moochers, man. I mean, it's like they didn't, nobody was working out, nobody was training for the race war, but I was speaking the truth. I just didn't let them know that I was an undercover FBI agent, and I was at those Klan rallies, you know. So I used that to help build me up and for bona fides and make me sound more real. But the base, you get into the newer extremism. So again, I retired in June of 2021. So what, 4 years ago, roughly. Um, but when we infiltrated the base, um, the accelerationist groups, which is the base is, and Adam Waffen was created by James Mason, longtime white supremacist. He wrote the book Siege. So they refer to it as siege culture. So Adam Waffen and the base were kind of like the only that were really popping off accelerationist groups. I mean, you'd hear names like Sonnenkrieg Division and other things like that, but I don't think they had a lot of people in there, and I think there was a lot of overlap because even members of the base were members of Sonnenkrieg Division, or members of the base were members of Adam Waffen. So, but the belief system is a little different than what you get with like your Klan and stuff like that, where you see people out on the street. Those are the ones that were out on the street with picket signs and yelling and screaming. The accelerationists don't do that. They don't believe there's a political solution to save the white race. They believe society is going to collapse on its own or from man-made events, and they want to speed it up, hence accelerate it. So they're not going to be on the street corner yelling and screaming. They're going to be hiding. They're going to be training with weapons I tell them, I said, picture a doomsday prepper meets like a militia military meets white supremacy, because you got all those aspects. We're out there training on machine guns, submachine guns, tactics, living off the land, all kinds of crazy stuff, hand-to-hand combat, just training for what they believe is going to be the race war. And that's when they get to come in and take over and create their own ethno state. But if you look at all sides of extremism, they're all very, very similar, because on the white supremacy side, you end up with an ethno state where it's just white people. Even the Klan, who are saying they're white separatists now, not white supremacists, white separatists. Well, that still means they get their own place where it's nothing with white people. But let's look at radical jihad. Well, you end up with a caliphate with your own people If you look at far left extremism, it's kind of the same. They're very similar. But me personally, I wrote about what I infiltrated, which was the white supremacy extremist groups like the base.
And how do extremist groups test new recruits?
Well, I guess
Is
that's
it
going to depend.
different?
Yeah, it's going to depend on the group. I'll tell you what the base did is
Mhm,
every time the base got infiltrated,
mhm,
whether it by a journalist or somebody that just, doxed them or ratted them out, every time that happened, they got better. Or I could say I was in the group. We got better with our operational security to hopefully thwart being infiltrated again. So that might mean something like, hey, you got a journalist from Canada and this is true, this happened in the case, that applies, does the face-to-face meet with a Canadian who's a member of the base and gets brought into the group, just into the main chat group. But after about a week, they come out and say, hey, I'm actually a journalist, you guys, and make a news article and all this stuff. Um, After that happens, then the base might look at it and go, how did that happen? How did we let them in here? So then somebody might say, well, did you ever hear them use any racial slurs? No, you know what? I didn't. Well, maybe that needs to be a new test. If you're gonna claim to be an extremist, you should be able to talk about other ethnic
Yeah.
backgrounds and talk about them in a bad way.
Uh,
So
and there were these times where you were almost caught that you are an undercover agent.
a bunch, yeah.
How did you manage to stay calm? Because that's something which freaks almost everyone out, I would say.
Well,
Even if not trained.
there are recordings. Then you can hear I'm not calm. You can hear my voice. I mean, I'm trying to act like I'm calm, but on the inside, I'm definitely not calm. And you can hear my voice is higher. You can hear my throat is tighter. You can hear that my enunciation of my words is worse, because I'm having an oh crap moment. Because I'm like, oh boy, this is not good. This is not good. And some of them seem like they last forever, and some just happen real quick. But yeah, there's been several. Even going back to when I was a vice and narcotics investigator, it's like you're sitting in there and you're trying to buy some drugs at a house for the first time. And while you're sitting there, maybe I've grown a goatee by that point, or facial hair. Um, the brother walks in the room and looks right at me, and he whispers to the guy I'm buying drugs from. And that guy says, hey, my brother says you're a cop. And I'm thinking in my head, well, your brother's right, because I arrested him when I was in uniform. Now I'm
Yeah.
sitting there with facial hair going, I got to talk my way out of this. And a lot of it can come back to training. If you get that training on what to do, then hopefully you'll do it even if you're having a no crap moment.
So I guess this tension, it's also trained, of course, to breathe calmly.
It'll help. It'll
Mhm.
help. Yeah, what to do in situations like that. And then, but then again, I mean, it may just be you improvising, but that's in the undercover world. So, like tactics, if we're training tactics, firearms, clearing rooms and stuff, we're going to do it. We're going to be out on the range. We're going to be shooting. I'm going to get your heart rate up. I'm going to give stress inoculation. I'm going to have you running up and down the field, push ups, punches, kicks, wrestling, whatever. And then we're going to have you do drills. Well, if you do that, it's mechanical. So you do that. So if you ever are in a bad situation, you do what's instinctive. I can show you video after video of shootings with cops and with military, and the officer doesn't have any idea how many rounds they shot. They don't know that they did a magazine exchange. They don't know they did it behind cover because they were in a no crap moment. And that's when your auditory exclusion comes in and your time dilation and your heart rate and everything slows down in time. But you're doing what you've trained to do. In the undercover world, you don't really get to go out there and do it mechanically unless you go to an undercover school and you role play and you get to ad lib or you go out with your other undercover friends and you try to work something just on the slide just to kind of work your gift of gab and how to sell and how not to freak out if somebody's calling you out kind of thing. And you just start honing your skills. But a lot of it's what ifs in your mind. Like, you walk into a bank and you're going, all right, there's the exits. What would I do if I'm standing here right now and somebody came in and robbed this bank? That's what we have to do um, to slow down that freeze, that fight, flight, or freeze, or to help our response be quicker in the situation if it happens.
And what I can also imagine is when someone, for example, from the base ask you for your opinion about a plan that that, for example, when you maybe give your opinion in different tactics, that it can be used then afterwards against you in court, I would say. Is it
Yeah.
so, or do you manage it? Because I
I,
guess they asked you for your opinion as well,
it's not
without
hard. It's not.
asking.
It's not hard for me because maybe the best way to say it's this: the undercover technique is an amazing technique. It's very intrusive, and the FBI actually considers it a sophisticated investigative technique, like doing a wiretap on a phone, because it's so intrusive. But the evidence is so overwhelming that you can get. The only thing the defense can really do is they can claim entrapment, which is kind of what you're talking about. Like, hey, did I lead it? Did I walk up to you and plan this whole thing and you disagreed with me? That's entrapment. We don't do that. You can't do that. You have to be predicated. If you come to me, like for instance, the Outlaws case, one of the first conversations I had with the president of the Taunton, Massachusetts Outlaws chapter, he said, "Where are you living? Where are you from?" I said, "South Texas." He's like where? I said, "Like McAllen." I said, "Like I'm on the border." Next question out of his mouth was, "How much can you get a kilo of cocaine for down there?" So see, he asked me. I didn't bring it up. He's already talking drugs. And that's how you get away from the entrapment. Because if I would have come in and he had never mentioned anything about drugs, and I'm sitting there going, "Hey, you want to make $40,000? What if the dude's broke?" Well, yeah, now I'm enticing him and now I'm entrapping him. The only other thing defense can do, so they can claim entrapment, which you should easily be able to thwart. The only other thing they can do is try to make me, the undercover, look like a piece of trash on the stand. And that's because the evidence is so overwhelming. So that's where you being wiser or more mature of what you're saying and doing on these recordings, because that's our job. We're getting recordings. So imagine if I was drunk and I was slurring and falling all over myself, or if I did drugs, or if I beat somebody up. How's that going to play in court? That's not going to play good at all, because then they're going to be able, like the defense, if I was the defense attorney, I'd be like, "So you sound pretty drunk here, right here, Agent Payne." "Yeah, I was pretty lit." "Well, how many times in that 2-year case were you drunk? How can we believe what you were saying if you were?" So it's just about creating doubt. So you just don't do it, or I didn't anyway.
Mhm. Mm, were there times where you genuinely believed that you might not make it out alive?
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess several.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, which time? You think you'd get smarter, but apparently I'm not. Yeah, I mean the Outlaws, the big one probably is the Outlaws case. After it was a 2-year case, but after a year and a half undercover, we being law enforcement decided that we would do the drug deal that they had been asking about to meet my cartel contacts. And at a year and a half in, the night before the operation was supposed to happen, they called me over to the clubhouse, and I went in, and they took me down into the basement and held me at gunpoint, and stripped me and looked for a wire. I had to write down my name, everything. And the issue was I was wired. I had a lot. I had about 3 recording devices on me, or two and a transmitter, and they almost found it. What are you going to do? You're in a crawl space, tight basement with 2 guys with pistols. Even if I'm able to make it past them, I go upstairs. It's the clubhouse. There's probably 8 to 10 more outlaws up there They're probably all armed. You know, the door's still fortified, got a metal bar across it. Yeah, what are you going to do? So yeah, that was probably, people ask, they're like, man, what do you think they would have done if they'd have found it? And I'm like, I don't, if you ask them now, they'd probably just be like, well, we were just going to beat him up, or we just try to scare him. Who knows? I don't have a crystal ball. They could have beat me up. They could have killed me. I don't know. I don't think it would have been good either way. And then there's been other ones like, you know, that old guy, or not old, but that guy I let my guard down on. And next thing you know, I'm leaning back on his couch and there's a red bone hound growling in my crotch, and I can feel the heat. It's so close, like it's about to bite me. And I'm leaning back, and he's got an open bag of cocaine right here in my face, saying, "If you're not a cop, do it." You know, yeah. He already told me he's got a double barrel shotgun aimed right at me, and he's like, "If you're not a cop," he goes, "If I find out you're the law, you're a dead man. You understand? If I find out you're the law, you're a dead man." And I'm like, "I'm not the law," you know. And then the next thing you know, I'm sitting there with a bag of cocaine in my face, and he's got the gun and the dog, and I'm like, golly, man, you know. But it kind of comes with the territory. I mean, look, I mean, cops are getting ambushed. Heck, firemen are getting ambushed. I'm like, who ambushes the firemen? That you should be happy. The house is on fire. Why are you going after? They're not locking you up. Yeah, they're coming to help you. They're not coming to lock you up. What are you? I'm like, they're retaliating. They're doing setup ambushes on fire. I'll go, well, I hope your house never catches on fire, because they're not going to come save you. You know, I don't know what the heck's going on. People are crazy, but I love them.
I mean, everywhere in the world. So
Yeah, I know. You're like, what is going on, man? But
can I also ask why? I mean, it was one incident, but why didn't you just say, okay, I never continue with undercover anymore because I almost died?
Because I'm not smart. I'm not smart. But you know what? It is an adrenaline rush. It is. If you're an adrenaline junkie, if you're undercover, I think. Because yeah, I mean, I'm out there by myself. Like I rarely would have a bunch of undercovers around me. I mean, you can have it. There were a couple of cases I did where I had some other undercovers come in, but they weren't there full time, for sure. It was usually just me with a cover team. So if you go out there like that, yeah, it's adrenaline rush. You're trying to figure out what they're going to throw at you, and you're trying to infiltrate, and you're trying to gather evidence. Are they actually committing crimes, or are they not? There's been plenty of cases I've worked where I've been undercover for like 6 months. And I'm like, they're not breaking any laws. I've been in here for 6 months straight. I've said on all these meetings, I'm doing everything. They're not breaking the law. And then I pull out. I'm like, all right, I'm done. I got other stuff to go do.
Yeah, and what about then your family? I guess they were like, were thinking, okay, maybe something happens to you and so on. Or did you have a family during the time where you were, for example, infiltrating the base?
Yeah. Oh yeah. My kids were already grown up by the base time, but like the outlaws, my daughters were like 3 and 1 at that point, and I was married. So you could say pretty newly married, right? 4 or 5 years, something like that. But yeah, it's that's a whole nother issue, you know, because like even if your spouse is law enforcement and they get it, I think that could cause them to worry more because they know what can be happening. Or, I mean, it could go both ways. My spouse was not law enforcement. This is not her world. So the only part of this world she really got of it was from me. So yeah, she worried a lot.
And I guess you can imagine also your friends and so on. Yeah, I mean, they don't know if they know it then when you go undercover. I guess they just say, okay,
Yeah.
you just appeared, I guess.
Yeah. You're like, hey, I gotta go handle some stuff, you know.
Genau.
I might be able to share some stuff because most everything I worked was unclassified. But it's really a need to know. You really shouldn't be talking to, because it's just that old saying, loose lips sink ships. It's not that it's got to be mean or they're doing it on purpose, but somebody could, like, they could be at a restaurant
Mhm.
and be sitting in a booth and be going, "Hey, my buddy Scott, man, he's been working undercover with the outlaws." Well, what if somebody at the table next to him is an outlaw or is a friend of an outlaw? And then they can go back and go, "Hey, I was just at this restaurant and the booth next to me, they're talking about this dude named Scott who has infiltrated the outlaws. I'm going to be in trouble, most likely." So yeah, it's best just not to say
Yes.
anything until everybody's arrested, and then it's out. Then it's in the newspaper, and then you can be like, "Yeah, that was me," you know.
And how much of undercover work is improvisation and how much is planned?
Uh, I guess I'm going to say I was more of an improv guy because I, for me personally, I would have my legend, and I would have it memorized, internalized. I know where I went to school. I know things you should really know. Like in the United States, if they go, "Hey, what's your social security number?" Am I going to sit there being a 54-year-old guy and go, no, I know it. What's your birthday? No, you know it. You got to be, where'd you go to high school? What's your favorite band? What kind of music do you like? You need to know all these things. But I'm not going to go in there and throw it all out. I've seen people do that. They walk in and you go, "Hey, how's it going? What's your name?" "Oh, I'm Scott. I'm from here. I went to this high school. I did this. This is where I worked. This is what I do. I'm also a criminal and I like to do it." You did, and they just spew it out and you're like, what, what was that? What are you doing? And they're like, "I don't know. I had it rehearsed and I just said the whole thing." I'm like, "Well, that was weird," but and it comes across as suspicious. But I like that. For me personally, I've seen people, this is the way their brain works. They were literally having an outline and in their head, they're going, "Okay, I got to make sure I say this. I got to say this. I got to say this." That's not how I kind of did it. Me personally, you're going to meet with your case team. You should have some goals for you coming in that week, whether it might just be, "Hey, we want you to work the crowd, get to know more people." That might be your only goal that week. But you need to have something. And, you know,
You need to have this tools or something also, or
yeah,
what you learned in the training. Yes. But nothing can prepare you for the real encounterment because it can come random questions and
yeah. Well, like I said,
random
I kind of,
tasks.
I kind of throw it like baseball or tennis. Like, you're serving me. Like I just served it. I just sent it to you. I don't know what you're going to do back, but I'm ready. I'm sitting here and I'm going, "Okay, are you going to hit it over here? Are you going to hit it right back to me? Are you going to hit it over here?" And that's kind of what I'm trying to do. I try to be prepared as much as I can, or at least have responses. And as you get longer in the tooth and you've done a bunch of them, it just comes off natural because yeah, that's what you do. That's how I talk. It's me.
But can I ask you, is it then easy to sleep where you know you are not yourself, you're playing someone,
Oh,
especially in the,
well,
yeah. Mhm.
sometimes no. Sometimes like even though I've got a cover team, they're
Mhm.
outside of the county because the county we're in is so rural. It's not heavily populated. It's like
Mhm.
woodsy. The town's going to know if the feds are in. They're going to know those cars don't belong. So here I am staying in a little bitty cabin in the middle of the woods, and all I got's a pistol. I got one pistol and I got about two magazines, and I'm sleeping with it under my pillow because I don't know if what if somebody comes and hits me? What if somebody's like, are they going to come rip me off? Like you just played a guy who handles stolen property and makes a lot of money. Who's to say they're not going to come try to rob me that night? So yeah, there's been plenty of times where I'm like, yeah, I didn't sleep that good.
Yes.
Or I slept like this. I slept like this,
Mhm.
one eye
Ah.
open. You know what I mean? I'm
With
looking
one eye
like that.
open.
Yeah. With my hand on a pistol.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I can also imagine, I mean, you get, even though they are extremists, but they become somehow your friends. So you have like a bit of emotional connection to them. And
Some.
how, that's,
Go ahead.
huh? And
Go
so,
ahead.
and so how was it for you, or how were you feeling?
So the extremists, yeah, I would bond with some, but because of the beliefs that I can't, you know, but could I look and say, "Man, this is a young kid who's been bullied. who is a social outcast, didn't do well in school, can't find a partner, and they are angry. I can look at that and go, I can be empathetic. I can empathize and go, okay, I can see how this is happening. And it's really not that bad of a person. They're just making some bad decisions right now. Yeah, I can do that. But like pedophiles, I mean, I've had a pedophile hire me to kill the kid he molested. There's no, I don't have no bond. I don't have any bond at all. I'm like, no, I'm out on that one. But like the biker stuff, yeah, I made some really good friends on those cases. The guy that actually had the bag of cocaine shoved in my face, we were pretty tight. We were pretty, even after we took down the case and arrested him, he'd call me. He'd call me on
Really?
my he'd call me on my undercover phone. He'd be like, "Hey Scott, this is you, buddy. I just wanted you to know I love you, man. I know you was just doing your job, and I'm like, I love you
No
too,
way.
yeah. I'm
So
like,
after he
yeah, it's like, hey, I'm an adult. I'm an undercover. I'm not a snitch. It's my job to try to infiltrate. If there's reporting of bad things going on, I love reading the haters, and they're like, you created everything that you arrested. But no, I didn't. I walked in. I was just like, there's cases. I'm like, I was just as shocked as everybody else when that kid said we were going to kill somebody. I was like, I didn't know we were going to kill anybody. I was just as shocked. But yeah, you do find bonding and stuff, and but you're still doing a job. So like I was saying, we were laughing there. It's like, look, my job is to enforce the law. If you're an adult, and this is the way I was even as a case agent, most of my career, I would sit down and I'd say, look, I'm not saying I think you're a bad person. I'm not even saying I disagreed with what you did. What I'm saying is you're an adult and you chose to break the law and you got caught. And here we are. I don't hate you. I'm just doing my job. You were trying to commit crimes and not get caught. I'm trying to catch you committing the crime. And here we are, And then a lot of times we just laugh it off, It's like, hey man, I've seen people after. I mean, I'm friends with people I put in prison now that they're out.
you became you still meeting even
Yeah.
though that's crazy.
Wouldn't it?
They don't have any anger on you even though you exposed them.
Some do, some don't, or maybe they do and they just don't tell me. But I mean, like a uniformed cop. Picture being a uniformed cop, and in South Carolina, in 1 year, how many people do you think I locked up? I locked up a lot of people. It might just be a traffic violation. It might be domestic violence. They might not get a lot of jail time. So in that next year, how often do you think it is where I walk into a grocery store or the movie theater or the mall or anywhere, and I run into somebody that I locked up? And now I'm off duty. I'm not even on duty. I'm not in uniform. And I see them looking at me. I just go up and talk to them. I was like, hey, man, how's it going? And I will tell you, few things I love more than a success story. I've helped people that I put in jail. If they are doing the right thing, and they're trying to straighten their lives out, your past doesn't define who you are. There was one in particular, and they were like, man, I'm concerned because now I've got a felony on my record. I'm a felon, and now I'm getting a college degree. I'm going out here. I'm trying to find a job. I said, well, as I told you before, if you're doing the right thing, I'll do everything I can to help you. I didn't think you were that bad of a person anyway. You were just making some bad decisions and you got wrapped up in something. I said, so if you're applying for a job and you're worried about that, who better to put down as a witness, a character reference than me, the guy who put you in jail? I'll write, if you're doing the right thing, I'll write something nice on there. I'll be like, hey, this dude's really turned around. He's doing a good thing.
And some topic which goes a bit also the time that you were a cop. It's about a certain, because of course you know that the media all the time when something happens, especially police brutality, they are like, the whole world is knowing that, I don't know, in America some police officer shoot someone, I don't know, who was running away and so on. And especially for me, I went last year 2 times to America and experienced so positive, even when I passed by
Good.
police and so on. And I remember also when I
They
came
didn't shoot
back.
you? Yeah.
No, no. And for but there was a dark humor.
You gotta be You got to be careful in America. They'll just shoot you. No, they won't.
Yeah. And the thing is, when I came back, I was talking with my friends and saying, "Oh yeah, I went to America 2 times last year, and it was really nice." Really? It was nice? You? And I said, "Yes, it was pretty nice." I don't know. You don't go there and you get a shoot in the head just because you are just walking by a cop or something.
Yeah,
But
no,
this is,
no.
I think, something that I wanted to say is I think it's more about the media who's presenting it more. Like
Oh,
when it's
it's all about the yeah, it's all
yeah,
about that.
yeah.
And then a lot of times they'll do things like, and of course I'm pro law enforcement. That's what I did for 28 years.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
but are there bad apples? Yeah. I mean, I worked public corruption. Guess who investigates dirty cops? Cops. We go after them and get them.
Yeah.
And I have. We've gone. I've done undercovers against dirty cops, and they got locked up, and they'll never be a cop again, and that's good. But I'm pro law enforcement, and yeah, I mean, there's so many times where like I've been on scene, something's happened, and you look at the news and what they're reporting isn't even close to what's happening,
Mhm.
but you can't go say anything because it's an active investigation. And it always kind of drove me crazy because I'm like, why don't we just take the video from beginning to end and here it is, play it. Here's the start, here's the car chase, here's what happens, here's the end. Not a snippet
Mhm.
where people can, you know, skew it to whatever they want. Play the whole thing through and let's see. But a lot of people in the public don't understand what our rules are either. They don't understand like the Constitution or a deadly force policy and what that deadly force continuum is. And if I pull out a gun, then that means I'm at the top of our pyramid, which is deadly force. And I'm not pulling the gun out to really talk. I'm pulling the gun out because this is about to be a deadly force situation. And if I have the chance, I'm going to give some commands and hopefully they listen and it's a good deal. And everybody gets to live to fight another day, you know, but yeah, I can totally see, especially overseas, looking at the reports of the nasty
It's
Americans.
it's
The,
it's
yeah.
crazy. I can tell you, almost. I mean, when something happens, especially when it's an African American, you see it all over the
Oh yeah,
news. Yes,
yeah,
or if it's something from Arabian country and so on, you see
yeah,
it all over the news. And yeah, but the positive aspects, because I also seen a lot of videos which are available on YouTube, where the police officer is, it's treating the person with a lot of respect and so
yep.
on. If their skin color is different, and this is something that they never show us here in
No, and they don't
the
show it here. It's very
yeah,
rare they show it here too.
yeah,
And it'll get to the point to where different ethnicities, like if it's a white on black crime,
mm-hmm,
they'll blast that everywhere. But if it's a black on white crime, they won't hardly show it.
yeah,
Um, and again, well, I say this, I say again, like I just told you,
mhm,
but it's used in propaganda. It's used in radicalizing teens online. So if you're a white kid who I mentioned, say you're a white kid, you can't get a partner, you're lonely, you've been bullied, you are not happy with life, and you're looking to find a group of like-minded people who you can a group you can belong in. And then
mhm,
I start showing you videos of blacks assaulting white kids and horrific things that are happening. That's going to fuel your anger. Same thing happens on the other side. Black separatists are being shown videos of white guys or white girls just doing bad things based on race. But all you're doing is not only are you lighting the fire, you're pouring gas on that fire instead of trying to de-escalate or diffuse. And it, like you said, it'll be one incident that's rare, but they'll blast it as if it's happening every day.
yes,
And some of those things are bad. Some of them are atrocious. I mean, like there's some things I've seen. I'm like, man, they need to bury that cop under the jail. You know what I mean? What that the guy did, because I've seen some horrific things. You know, at the end of the day, you are a peace officer. That is your title. And they used to put it on every car here to protect and serve. And
serve,
that's
yes,
what you're doing. You're a
yeah,
peace officer to protect and serve. You're not out here to beat the crap out of people and to chastise people, but it happens. It happens. It happens in any organization, anywhere. There's going to be somebody who who's going to mistreat the badge or the power that they've been given. And it's sad, but it happens.
And yes, if I can ask, what is the reason that, of course, that there are like sometimes like bad people? What's the reason they ended up being police officers? Is it because of the training that they get because it's too short? Because I think it's not that long to become a police officer, I
It
think.
depends on where you're at. Depends
Okay.
on, but I will say this: when
Mhm,
you do shorten the
mhm,
training and the certification process, it allows bad apples to slip through the cracks.
mhm,
Um, like you said, background checks and stuff like that. If they're not doing them, every department's different. But if they're not doing them to a certain standard, yeah, you can get people in there, and maybe it's poor pay. Like again, I was on the border of Mexico, so if you're only making 25 grand, 30 grand a year, and I offer you 15 grand to turn your head for 1 minute and let this car drive through, that's over half your salary. That's tempting. And then you're going to start seeing corruption problems. So you always got to be looking for stuff like that. The FBI, we do all kinds. If you've got a top secret clearance, I mean, you have to go through all kinds of stuff yearly, sometimes twice a year, because they're wanting to make sure they're trying to look and make sure you don't have something in your background where you could be blackmailed, kind of thing. Like, you're in debt heavily. Well, that can make you not, it's not going to make you be dirty, but the foundation's bad. And maybe we need to start looking at that kind of thing.
What I also, because you were talking about kids, for example, who drifting up into, going, for example, the right wing or something.
Mhm.
I remember also a story when I was a kid. I had this one friend, let's say, call, and we were just, hanging around and so on, and suddenly this person disappeared. Like I think it was 2 3 months. I didn't hear anything about this person because at that time we didn't have WhatsApp and so on. So it was like we were just connected via, I think it was some kind of Facebook or something, and then suddenly after 2 3 months I saw he was there online, and I was writing him, and he was just telling me a lot of racist slurs because he just ended up being suddenly in a really right position. And that's what I think, that it's so
He
easy
got
to
recruited.
go this road. Yes. Hmm?
Yeah. But it happens again, radical jihad. They're radicalizing online. Far left radicalizing online. It's just evil. I mean, if you put it on the table and we look at it and we lay it all out from beginning to end, and we ask the question, is this evil or is it good? Now, there are people who can't tell the difference, and there's titles for them, but for the most part, you know, you can look at it and go, this is pretty evil kind of thing. Um, but yeah, he probably went and got radicalized and now came back and is using all kinds of crazy language.
Yes. Fun fact, I think after, I think, 3 years or something, maybe he went out because when I was walking the street, he was just saying hello suddenly. So maybe people wake up at some point. I don't know, or they mistreated him.
Yeah,
Yes.
that'll do it too. You can get beat out.
Mhm. And I think this is one of the reasons why you said you want to go to public with your story, I would say.
Yeah, I didn't want to do the Rolling Stone. I really didn't plan or want to do a Rolling Stones magazine article or the book, but it kind of happened. And I was already an instructor and a speaker for the FBI. So I would teach a 3-hour block of instruction to law enforcement about the outlaws and that 3-year period of my life when I crashed mentally and all these things that I learned. And then once I started working domestic terrorism, I built a 3-hour, 2-day, whatever you need block of instruction on what I'd learned as far as these recruitments and what accelerationism is compared to the old Christian identity, which is coming back. And it's just, you start explaining these things. So I did that already for the FBI, traveling all over the place, teaching, and speaking. And then we would also do it for civilians, which weren't law enforcement, for like, we had a citizens academy, or it might be a liaison outreach kind of thing. So to do the book, I'm really I'm just teaching more openly, right? I'm still telling the stories, and now they're in the book. But um, the literary agents that I interviewed with, they were very, very good. And they're the ones that convinced me to do it. And after I talked to a couple of other retired FBI undercovers, who were actually New York Times bestsellers as well. I say as well, I became one. But they were telling me it was legacy for my family. I'm still teaching. And now I'm putting it down on paper, and I'm happy. I'm happy I did it.
I look forward to read the book. I already
Yeah.
bought it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I did
And
the audio too. Like if you downloaded the audio book, it's me. I went into a studio and read it. So
Mhm.
I didn't want to have some robot voice reading my stuff, you know?
But did you also notice that radicalization, it's now more and more upcoming? Because I can tell you, in Switzerland, even here, Switzerland or Germany, you see the shift a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And now you've got extremism that may not be race based. It's
Yes.
just nihilistic extremism. They're
Yeah.
still kind of accelerationists. They still want the downfall of society. They want a collapse of everything. They want kind of like The Purge. They want like the movie The Purge, which
Yes. Yes.
always cracks me up, because most of the ones that want that, they're not going to survive if it happens. I'm looking at them, I'm going, you're not going to make it through the night. I'm just telling you, you know, you might want to choose a different path. But yeah, so that nihilistic extremism is brutal. I mean, it's heavily satanic based. They are doing live watch parties. They get kids, they recruit them, they get them to do something stupid to themselves on a camera, and now they use that to sextort them, make them do other things, take their own lives, torture animals, harm themselves. I mean, like the group 764, they call it a bean. So if you take like a navy bean or a lima bean and you slice into it, that white that's on the inside, that's what your fat looks like when you cut through it. And they call it a bean, and it's like a point system. They've got like kids torturing themselves while they're being watched and made fun of and ordered to do stuff. Why? Weak self-esteem. I don't know. Need to belong. Or the extortion part of it. Hey, we're gonna show this picture to your entire school and your parents if you don't do this, and it's just sick. So we got to keep talking about it like it is happening, not like it's not happening, and pushing the information out there, because I think like a bad guy, you know, like a pedophile. I'm not a pedophile, but I'm saying a pedophile. Where are they going to go to recruit? So if they go to recruit, like I tell people, I go, hey man, if your kids are playing Minecraft and Roblox, cool. If they're playing Minecraft and Roblox with a headset on, cool. You need to know who they're talking to. You need to know who they're talking to, because that's where, like that, like if you're a fisherman and I gave you a choice to go to a pond that was loaded with fish or go to a pond with hardly any fish in it, which one are you going to go to? So that's where they're going to go, to where the kids are at. And we just need to be more vigilant and show our due diligence and get out there and spread knowledge.
But do you think this is because we have access to the internet? Because everyone
Oh,
has access to the internet just using the phone?
that's definitely a major tool.
Mhm.
I mean, like if you didn't have that, then maybe your bullying stops as soon as you leave school. Now it doesn't stop when you leave school. It's on that phone all night long.
What I noticed as well is the algorithm getting much better, because even at YouTube, I getting recommended stuff which I really like. Or
Mhm.
suddenly, for example, I tried it to just watch a bit of right-wing stuff, and suddenly I got into this pool and all the confirmation, this one, this one, this one. This is crazy. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I go in there and I cut all that off. Anything like it says, do you want to help us with the algorithm? No. Do you want to? I don't click it, but they still listen. Like, I mean, your phone listens. Like, I'll say something stupid. Like, I'll be talking to my wife about, I don't know, like our girls' bathing suits or something. And then within an hour, I've got like a bathing suit ad on my phone. I'm like, you know, yeah.
Can I ask you, what do you think about this new trend about AI? Because this is used everywhere, even law enforcement and so on. I guess you also came across to it.
Some parts I like. I'm hearing some cool songs on YouTube. Like my buddy will send me this song and I go, man, that sounds awesome. And I start looking it up and I'm like, This is AI. I'm like, this isn't even a real band. And I'm like, so, but as a musician, that kind of sucks. But I think it'll swing back because you're never going to get to go see an AI band live because they're not real. But on the other hand, I see AI doing some not good stuff, man. I mean, you can, as far like I just talked about sextortion, right? I saw an ad the other day. It's a kissing AI thing. Like we could literally take my picture and your picture and then put it in that AI machine and it'll make us kiss and hug and stuff. And I'm like, this is not good. This is not good. And again, I think like a bad person. I'm like, you mean that I don't even have to, like, if I've got a sick mind, I can go in here and tell this AI to do this. So it's just like my response to all technology. With a lot of great stuff comes a lot of bad stuff. And yeah, it makes the world small. It's going to make undercover harder. Facial recognition and everything. Who knows? I don't know. I'm out of it now. So I'm officially overt.
What I think, because since the AI, for example, knows a bit of how we think or can predict what we want to watch in the future, I think in the future, even when you look at the law enforcement, you can predict a lot of stuff from it, from different data.
Yeah. I just, yeah, I think like the movies, man. I think like, I Robot. I'm like, see, one of them's going to get mad and then I'm going to be at my house and all the doors are going to lock. Like I see, I don't know if you have them over where you're at, but the Waymos, there's like a car. It's got cameras all around it. It's a taxi cab, but there's nobody driving.
Ah,
Yeah. Like
I know it, but we don't have. In Germany, it takes years until
my,
they can
my
use it
wife
there.
and it's only in the big cities like, Austin and LA and places like that. But my wife and daughter jumped in one. I said, I'm not getting in that thing. I'm like, what if it gets mad and it locks all the doors? I'm like, mm-mm. I'm like, nope. But who knows? Sooner or later, I may be taking a Waymo somewhere and hoping that the robot likes me and doesn't get mad. And I picture all those 80s and 90s movies, man. I'm like, they're going to try to take over.
So, one important question is, if you reflect all of your career so far and what you experienced so far, what advice would you give the younger generation?
Oh boy, that's a big one. That's a big one. Well, let's just stay on the topic we're on now with the hate and the extremism. Just hate's bad, man. Love more. It's like, can I hate? Yes. Have I hated? Yes. It takes a lot of energy and it's really not rewarding at all to you or to who you're doing it against. But if you spread joy and happiness, I mean, I'm a glasses half full optimist guy. If I wasn't seeing and doing what I've done personally, I don't think I'd been able to make it. But just try to do the right thing. I mean, most people know, just try to do the right thing. Go out there and do something nice. Pay it forward. Tell me how you feel. Tell me how it worked out. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. And stop diving down these daggum rabbit holes on the internets, on the Discord and Telegram and Threema and Riot and Wire and every other dadgum thing that's out there. 4chan, 8chan, 12chan, whatever they're on now. 20chan. I don't even know. But just, man, don't get into that. There's more stuff out there. And a lot of that stuff is fake. It's there. You get in there and it looks real and you're believing it, but I don't know. Leave that group. Find you somebody else to belong to. It's very similar to me to like the 80s and the 90s, the cults and the gangs. They would go and they would prey on somebody that would, like, maybe from a broken home or didn't belong, felt like they couldn't fit in, and then you recruit them in. And whether that's a gang where we're going to beat you in and now you're part of the brotherhood, but you're going to bleed out, it's all, I don't know, man. I'll just say, try to spread some joy. Try to do something nice for somebody.
So, and how can my audience support you? Is there a way beneath of buying your book or maybe listen to your
Sure.
podcast?
The book and I think I said it. I don't know if I said it offline to you, but the We're right now, Simon and Schuster are my publishers, and they are in the process of right now of trying to find publishing groups in the UK, Germany, all that, Australia, to pick up the book for sale. But yeah, Simon and Schuster, the audio book is me. I went into a studio; it's my voice reading it, so not AI. Uh, would have been cool though. They're like, "Hey man, you could read a couple of sentences, and then AI will read the rest of the book." And I go, It would be, I'd be interested to see what it sounded like, but yeah, that man, just if you like it, it's doing well. Like I said, the book came out March 25th this year. The 26th of March, I was on Joe Rogan, and that was pretty much it. I went New York Times bestseller in 3 months. So
Congratulations.
yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. It's a blessing. I've been traveling and speaking all over the place, so hopefully if you like it, go and grab it, man. And all my social media, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, it's all at Scott Payne, P as in Papa, AYNE, Scott Payne Big Country. So at Scott Payne Big Country, that's all my social media stuff. If you want to
Did you
reach
ever
out.
also think doing presentations outside of the US, maybe in
Oh
UK or
yeah.
even in Germany?
Yeah.
Or
Oh yeah, absolutely.
you did? Oh.
No, I haven't done it yet, but I would. I've been to Canada. Simon and Schuster has a branch in Canada. I went into Canada. I did like 5 minutes on a morning show, and then like 12 minutes on a big afternoon show, and I spoke at a writers conference. And the next 2 weeks after that, we were in the top 10. So that's yeah, I would love to go do that, because that'd be cool to go and meet local law enforcement overseas and speak
Yes.
to people overseas. That's cool. Yeah, I like that.
And I can also imagine you can tell, especially the younger generations, a lot of things, how it is to be like in this extremist group, so that
Yeah.
they don't find it, oh, cool, I will join this group. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly.
Yes.
Don't. Yeah. Yeah.
So, Scott, thank you very much for the interview. I really appreciate your time and also your great work during your time working as undercover cop, undercover agent, and also in general, the mood that you give.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks. I try, it's not always easy, but it really goes back to doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. You don't have to. A lot of times I'm like, oh boy, I really don't want to say I'm sorry to that guy, or I'd rather punch that. You know what I mean? But you're like, I'm going to do the right thing. So yeah, I'm just trying to pay it forward, spread knowledge. I love spread knowledge. I love learning. I still learn every day. So I'm just trying, man.
Yes. Thank you very much. I hope maybe to see you in a real, not just online, maybe
Yeah, I know,
one
right?
day, and and also to speak about different things. Yes,
I'll be walking in Germany and you'll be like, hey, I know that voice.
I know that guy. Okay.
Well, thanks for
Thank you
having me,
very
buddy.
much. Yep.